First step is to get this cowl off. And for access, I'm going to take this off and the top. And now we're going to drain the radiator fluid, choke valve, and it should just pull right on out. You see all those hoses are exiting down through that little square area down there. But like I said, this is broken off. Happens on CRFs a lot, 450s and such. So we're going to deal with that. All right, it's all cleaned up. Looks really good. Yours may not look as good as this, but this dude is like new outside. So we're going to take the float bowl off first and go from there. First, let me show you what's going on with this choke. You can see the threaded part of the plastic is broken off. Now, this happens a lot with CRF 450s, all the key and carburetors that have the little plunger that you just lift up. This one is, you're able to take the cable out, so you've got the ability to buy this piece. Good luck to you. I am going to see what I can do about retrofitting a plunger that is a pull-up style, because these are not unobtainium and the whole cable is unobtainium, and if it is, it's about 150, 180 bucks. So, and that's used, but I haven't really looked too far. So anyway, trying to replace this or trying to fix this plastic piece would be pretty much a non-starter unless I had some way to figure it out. I could possibly, but to get this out, outside in the pilot itself, what I had was this piece was stuck, was in there, it was threaded in, but the minute that this piece breaks off, then usually this can be backed out. And that's how I did it. I just backed it out. I just spun it around, dug in with this pick, and I unthreaded it because it was just loose. And that's because all the pressure comes from this. So this almost threads on, but it doesn't, as you can see. So let's get the float ball off. And I'm going to tell you, I think this is going to be like clean inside. That's my guess, is that it's going to be super, super clean. I'm trying to keep these hoses on while I do this, and I may or may not be able to. There we go. Look at that. I mean, that is about as clean as you're going to find for a, what is it, 30-year-old, 89, 90? Anyway, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to check the float level. I'm going to clean the jets and spray out all of the small surfaces and orifices in there. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take these screw settings out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to count right where it's at. I want to put it right back where it was, but I want to get in there with my carb cleaner and spray out. So it is 1 turn, 1.5 turns, and so log that, 1.5 turns out throttle. With the 2 vents taken off, I can just completely remove this part. Now I've got the throttle out, and the next would be to get my 2 jets out. So let's take out the pilot jet. And they're pretty good. And I do believe this was running rich, not lean, so I don't think this is plugged, so I'm going to check. And I blew it out, and it is it is clear. So what I'm going to do is log what it is. It's a 52 Pilot. Lay it over there. And we're going to take off the main. Now, one good thing about doing a video on this is that I know that this piece goes on like so. And of course, it probably can't go on any other way. But sometimes you wonder where it goes, or so I can always look at my video of how this came out. So let's check that and make sure it's clear. And I don't think it would have run if it's not, but we're going to clean them up or replace them anyway. So let's record what this one is. And it says it's 140. And then I'm going to check it on the parts fish to make sure nobody's rejetted it. And then we're going to take the float off. Now, there was no problem with the float because it wasn't leaking through the overflow. So I am pretty darn sure that it is not going to be an issue. And I'm going to take out this emulsion tube. And with it comes this bracket, and I want that bracket to go back on right. And there again, that's the value of a video. Helps other people, but it also helps me. There's the emulsion tube. Now the emulsion tube will have a number on it also. But I'm not seeing one. Maybe it's just a holder. There is really no holes in it like you'd have an emulsion tube. So there's that. There's that. Now we've got the whole bottom of the carburetor taken apart. This carb, now I've never done one of these. This carb is water cooled or water heated, whichever you want to call it. And it doesn't look like there's a like an idle enrichment screw or an air adjustment screw. I'm not seeing. Oh, yep, there it is right there. There it is. So let's pull that out after we screw it in and see how many turns it is. Half, 1.5, 1.5. So 1.5, let's go ahead and pull it all the way out. And then we'll record that. There's a spring. And I'm going to check. I'm going to check to make sure there's no rubber. Like on the CRFs, there's an aluminum washer, then there's a rubber O-ring, but I'm almost positive there isn't one in here. You go to Partzilla, they will have all of the parts listed, and you can see that there is on that mixture screw, there is only a spring. This is also helpful to put it back together if you don't know exactly where something goes. So Partzilla or Rocky Mountain, they saved my ass with these diagrams many times. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to spray every little hole. That's just a plug. I'm not going to go into the water. The water's not really that important. And there again, this thing's so clean, it's like I really don't have to do much on this. And I'm just using just the cheap Walmart. Works just as good. Just get it good and cleaned up. Now, if yours is really dirty, inside it's gummy, then you definitely want to do the chem dip. You know, you want to dip it in the Berryman's. And I'm getting a little dirt off that hose still. And then just a spray on the outside, spray on the inside, and that's good. Now I'll use compressed air and I'll blow in all those holes. Now that this is all cleaned, we're going to start cleaning all the little parts. And I got them all in this little tray. And this one's so clean, I'm really not even going to have to use a brush. But I've got a little brush. I got a couple little brushes I use for different things. But I'm going to clean this up. And then what I'm going to do with this, because it is a copper piece, I'm going to polish it up on the wire wheel. It's going to look really great. You know, just want to get them clean. The biggest thing is to make sure that the pilot and the main are clear and that there's a hole. When you look down here, you can see a little pinhole, and it's hard to explain, but the more you do, you'll know if that's open. And this little air mixture screw, and that's it. So now I'm going to take this out and I'm going to clean the inside of the float bowl. Now you can get a rebuild kit, but Honda is no longer selling anything revolving around this carburetor other than maybe the jets. So to get this, and it wasn't leaking before, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it back together with this O-ring still in it. But you could probably get the O-ring and some of these other goodies in a kit if you looked hard enough. Now we're going to check and make sure that the jet size is correct. So if you look over here, you'll see number 23 is the main jet, and it's a 140, and that's what we wrote down. Now we're going to look for the pilot jet, which should be 24, the slow jet, and it's a 52, which is what we wrote down. So Chico has reminded me that I put too many carburetors, right, Chico? Yeah, you told me 100 times. Too many carburetors back together without replacing this pilot jet. So I'm going to look in my jets here and see if I have a 52. I'm pretty confident on this one. What about you, Chico? Yeah, he's confident. So we'll put this back in if we don't have one. So look at that. I've got a 52. So I'm going to put that in. And I'm going to put the pilot in. We'll go ahead and put all this back together underneath here. I've got quite a few of these. And I looked at the bottom. This red one is for air. It's for a hot start. But these black ones, they have the same plunger and the same size. They fit right in. Well, the one I had did. Oh, because it's in there. Plunger's in there. So, and this would spin on. Now, the thing is you'd have to have somebody outside the pilot as you're starting it hold this up to give you the enrichment you need to get it started. So I ran into my spare parts this piece here, which I'm thinking is going to work. So we'll give it a try. So the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to check the float level. And it's supposed to be at 16 millimeters, so I've got 16 millimeters on my caliper here, and it's like really close. You probably, because you don't want the spring collapsing at all, but you want it resting right against there. So it's probably, if anything, just a hair low. But not really. I'm going to leave it with that because I know no one's been in this carburetor. I know that that float level is so close that it probably hasn't moved since it's new. And I know my issue is not necessarily a float level issue. My issue is it's running really rich, and I believe it's got something to do with this choke. So let's button the rest of it up. It's all back in, and I took the opportunity to clean underneath it because I'm going to do a super detail on this. So let's hear it run. So what we have is, it almost feels like it's still a little rich, but that choke cable is now working properly. I had to use the choke earlier when I started it the first time, and it worked, and it sealed. So I thought it was a little rich, so I took the air cleaner out and I took the chance to clean it. But I am gonna adjust it and ride it, get it warmed up, and I'm sure that if I lean out the low end, it probably will clean up, and the in and out of the carburetor went well. I did fill the coolant back up. It's topped off and flushed with new. So there you have it, and I'm gonna finish it with that. And just one small little piece left, and that's to ride it and adjust it, and then we'll start it again.